South Africa, the Business Day Dialogue 2024, in partnership with the Standard Bank, focused on how Africa can pursue climate-smart agriculture. The forum, which provides valuable insight into approach and practices as well as trends in agriculture technology, was attended by the World Bank. And here's the bank's senior agriculture economist, Dr. Hardwick Chale, speaking to the role of the World Bank in sustainable agri financing in sub-Saharan Africa.
I think they have said that we actually face a perilous food systems if we do not innovate to change. We certainly need to do that and do it right now and do it very quickly. And so that's the role that we have as institutions that work in this space, whether we are financial institutions, development institutions like ourselves, the government, and even the private sector, those people that actually do the business of agriculture. So at the World Bank, our mission is to eradicate hunger or poverty and boost shared prosperity on a livable planet. So if you look at those three aspects of that mission statement, they all talk about sustainability. That's the issue. How do we sustain the food systems that we have? I think we have in literature a lot that has been written about the fact that our current food systems are unsustainable because of so many reasons. I think some of which have already been presented here. We are encroaching into the environment, causing lots of issues, but at the same time, we also face lots of people that are going home hungry. And we certainly need to fix that. I think the other dimension is the fact that our food systems are actually causing a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions. At the World Bank, we have just produced a report which we call a recipe for a livable planet. And what that report actually says is that the food systems, as it currently stands, is emitting about a third of the global greenhouse gases. And so we have to change. We have to change the way we produce and consume food. Otherwise, we are going into a future that is uncertain. And so at the World Bank, we do have a department which looks at agriculture and the food systems. And our focus there is to basically support countries to transform their food systems. And transformation of the food systems entails the three areas that I think the first presenter talked about. We have to produce the food that the world needs. We also have to do that while making sure that the producers' resilience and adaptation is built, and also while reducing the greenhouse gases that come from the food systems. And so we see that climate-smart agriculture actually meets all those three aspects. That is why the department which I work for actually focuses on scaling up climate-smart agriculture in our food systems. And how do we do that? We do that in a number of ways. First, as a development financing institution, we provide the funding that governments or stakeholders need to be able to scale up climate-smart agriculture. We know that even though the food systems is responsible for about a third of the greenhouse gases, it receives only about 4% of the climate finance. And of that, only about a fifth or 20% goes to meet the needs of the smallholder farmers that actually produce the food. So there's a lot of gap there that we need to fill in, assist the governments meet the financing needs that they need to be able to support the sustainability of the food systems. We know also that as we stand right now, we need to deepen the knowledge in climate-smart agriculture. It's an area that has actually been studied quite a lot. A lot of research and development has gone on, but there's still a lot that we need to know. And so we need to provide the funding that governments need to continue with the institutional capacity, particularly for research and development, to be able to come up with innovative technologies and how to use them better in the farming systems. I think we also need to do that to make sure that the institutions, particularly the governments that we work with, have the capacity to be able to facilitate scaling up significantly the adoption of climate-smart agriculture. The research that we have, at least in the bank, shows that the adoption of climate-smart agriculture is both slow as well as limited in many, many aspects. we have at least a total of about 1.5 or 1.4 billion hectares in the whole world in terms of arable land, and of that, about 25% is in sub-Saharan Africa. But what we know is that just about half, or even less than half, of that land is under climate-smart agriculture today. So again, there is a gap there that we need to fill. We need to scale up significantly the amount of land that can go to be produced under climate-smart agriculture. There is a food situation or a food crisis that we are facing as a people. We know that by 2050, I think we'll be talking about 9.7 billion people on the planet. In terms of the demand for food, is going to be increasing at about 56%. The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, actually predicts that food production has to increase by about 60% to be able to get us to the point where we meet the demand and supply for food. Again, that is an area where we need to focus our efforts to make sure that we are able to get a food system that performs to produce the food that we need. Now, lastly, at the World Bank, what do? We are supporting governments with financing, as I've already said, but we are also supporting the governments with analytics, diagnostics that help them to make better decisions in terms of the policy, the programming, as well as the implementation of climate-smart agriculture technologies. We have what we call the Country Climate and Development Report. I think most of us have heard about the CCDR, which is a new diagnostic that basically helps the countries to prioritize the investments that go towards sustaining the food systems. At the same time, we also provide what we call the Food Systems Multi-Donor Trust Fund. This is a pot of money that is put together by development partners and countries to help the countries to scale up significantly the adoption of climate-smart agriculture. This Multi-Donor Trust Fund is actually administered by the World Bank, and so countries can access the resources that they need to do that. But beyond that, we also do what we call climate-smart agriculture country profiles. This is basically profiling the challenges that countries face and how they can deal with agriculture, the agricultural challenges, using climate-smart agriculture as an approach. Secondly, we also do, beyond the profiles, we do what we call climate-smart agriculture investment plans, basically putting together a profile of projects that governments can actually get into to be able to at least improve the sustainability of the food systems. We are working closely with governments, either through the international research and development institutions, we call them the CGIAR, which work closely with the national agricultural research systems to be able to help governments deal with these challenges that we are facing. And so in this forum today, I think what I want to underscore is the fact that we need to do a lot of collaboration. We need to strengthen the collaboration that actually exists between governments, the private sector, the development institutions like ourselves, but also financial institutions like Standard Bank. It's very important because the problem that we are facing is actually huge, and we need to hold hands to be able to help our stakeholders in the best way possible. I think finally, I would like to say that in the World Bank, we have both the public sector side as well as the private sector side. And so I would be failing if I don't talk about the IFC, the International Finance Corporation. Their office is right here in Joburg. They are also keen to work with institutions, particularly financial institutions like Standard Bank, to see how best we can raise the profile of climate-smart agriculture, not only in South Africa, but in the countries in Southern region as well.